What are you trying to record as, Jeremy?
Because I get everybody asking me if there are recordings, so I record them.
Oh, good.
Okay. All right. So people will start trickling in here soon, hopefully. What's everybody got going on?
Finished working out. About to eat some chicken. Get that
Nice.
protein in
Nice.
with some French fries to get that weight. To get that bulk. What you
Love
got
it.
going
Wow.
on?
What are you going to Chick-fil-A for your chicken?
No, there's a chicken here called Maui Mike's, and dude, it's like the chicken in the mainland compared to the chicken taste on Latin America. It's very different.
Yeah.
And here in Hawaii, my uncle brought me to this chicken. He brought me back to Latin America, dude. I was like, it's just how they raise the chicken. It's just not like full of probably hormones and like whatever
Yep.
shit they feed them there. It's like the taste is completely different.
That's awesome.
Probably the main thing I'm going to miss once I leave.
So when are you actually going to leave?
The 14th is my flight.
Okay.
I'll be going to Baton Rouge. You're in Alabama, right?
I'm in Alabama. Yeah.
I'm in Baton
Nice.
Rouge.
I know. I'll be in Baton Rouge like probably like 10 days or so, and then I'm going to Miami.
What are you doing in Baton Rouge?
Have family, probably maybe Christmas. I'm not sure yet, but
Oh,
yeah, and go check on the investment property there, and probably meet up with you guys. I was
yeah,
thinking
yeah,
about like reaching out
yeah.
to.
I'll get with Brian. I'm going to Florida later in December, to see my family, but I'll be here until like the 23rd or something.
We're in Florida.
Palm Coast,
Where the hell is that?
by Daytona.
Oh, okay, that's just like North Miami. Yeah, I've never visited any of those places.
Just Miami.
One of the things that I was talking to an agent today, and he kind of like opened my eyes. I'm doing like agent outreach, and he's like, "Do you realize that it's gonna be very difficult for you to find somebody with low equity or coming out of pocket in Florida, right?" It's like, you know what? You have a lot of reasons because everybody's properties have appreciated so much in Florida. And I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Maybe after my next like week of calls, maybe I should just move on to another market where maybe there like not as much appreciation happen.
You had, I mean, the past 2 years, you've had pretty much had appreciation everywhere. I mean, Florida's been crazy, but you've had appreciation basically everywhere. Evan's got a tiny baby. What's up, tiny baby?
6 weeks old, baby.
Dang.
Man, you can tell like it's kind of like they're in that stage where they can barely hold their own heads.
There it is.
All right, you're right.
That's awesome.
It's awesome when somebody else has it.
I
Not me.
know. I know. Yeah, I'm
You have
good.
kids, Jeremy?
I have a 7-year-old son.
Okay, you're past the worst stage,
Yes.
so you good. You know the hustle.
Yeah. I know it was Jeremy Davis and his wife just had their baby today. And I was like, man, I do not envy that starting that cycle all over again. I mean, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
you lose all
Obviously.
your sleep and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any of us that have kids know it's awesome, but it's definitely changes your life, that's for sure.
I was blessed with me making a stupid decision in college, buying a Great Dane, and I learned through a dog that I'm not ready for kids.
Yeah. That's why most people do get dogs first.
Yeah,
That's
I'll be back. I'm gonna go get my chicken.
awesome. Awesome. What up, Brandon? You guys keeping busy?
What's up?
You guys keeping busy?
Yeah. Yeah. we have been. Feel like we're always trying to play catch up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing though, right? It's better than not
Yeah.
having anything going on.
Yeah, it's so hard to find time to work on your business though when you're stuck working in it every day.
Very true statement.
Yeah.
Very true. I mean, you know this, but you're at the point now where, I mean, maybe this, who knows where the economy's going, right? I would say we've probably seen the worst of it at this point, but if things do go south and you want to like make sure your expenses are staying low,
Yep.
but you may need to seriously think about replacing yourself.
We are. We have hiring plans. It's just a matter of I don't want to like maybe I overthink it, but I'm like trying to have the SOPs and flow charts and exactly how everything's gonna work together before I go hire them. Otherwise, I'm just gonna be like, I don't know, just go do something. Just go, like so like we hired a lead manager because we had to, we just had to.
Yeah.
And it's been a huge blessing, but at the same time, it's like sometimes I'm just like, just do this today and just figure it out. I'll have you more direction tomorrow,
So with your lead manager, have you put SOPs in place?
A little bit. If it's more, I'm having lots of just daily hands-on training right now
Yeah.
and some reporting some of it. But I have a general SOP I put up before you started, and but the thing I didn't realize is like really understanding now the flow of a lead through the full life cycle of a lead, right? And letting him know kind of what that looks like and what's in my head, getting it across to make sense, So, we're having those growing pains and struggles of, yeah, you shouldn't have passed that off to acquisitions like that. That needs to stay back as a lead manager. So,
Well, now you know.
yeah, I know we're working the same. We're just working.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say, because we've been through it, and I wish we had SOPs in place, and I wish we had recordings and stuff. As much as you can possibly record, make sure you're documenting it.
Yeah,
Like if
Yeah.
anytime you get together on a Zoom to try and walk a new, lead manager through the steps, like just try and put it on a Loom video. And that
Yeah.
way you got it. And we didn't do enough of a good job doing that either. I mean, we onboarded so many people between VAs and, just, people that we were working with that, we could have a full set of SOPs already in place, and yet we don't have any of it.
Yeah, I know. Well, the hard part too is you get SOPs done, and then you're like, something changes in your business, and you're like, ah.
Yeah. But I mean, there's so many basics that aren't going to
Right.
change that much. Like
Yeah.
a lead manager, that the tasks a lead manager does don't change all that much, no matter what your business looks like.
Exactly. Yeah, it doesn't.
Underwriting is underwriting, right? Like you're not changing anything fancy. When a lead comes in, you need to figure out if it's a decent lead or an absolute junk lead. That's the same process.
Yeah.
It changes a little bit because maybe you get one or two more dispo strategies or acquisition strategies that you guys just, so maybe what used to not be a lead now is, I don't know, but yeah, dude.
Yeah,
it's
that was
fun.
the thing too. Like my plan was to have him also doing some underwriting,
Mhm.
and I learned it immediately. I was like, all right, let's put that on the back burner. Just qualify motivation, right? We'll, just qualify the motivation, and we'll go to price after. We'll have you doing that more. So
So that's what you're letting your lead manager do right now.
lead manager, yeah. Eventually, we're gonna have him doing underwriting too, to like on a basic level, at least pulling some comps and having a general ARV. So when acquisitions looks it up, he just has to confirm it
Yeah.
and stuff. But it's not, it's easy to say, yeah, I can underwrite, but it's not really, right? At a high level. So
Yeah, no, I had this conversation with Eduardo today. Underwriting is it is somewhat simple, but it takes repetition. You've got to do it thousands of times before you're like, oh, I know every nuance there is. I'm completely comfortable with any property you throw my way. Like it just takes time. It takes reps, right?
yeah.
So what I used to do with our lead manager was one of our VAs. I don't know how you have it in your business, but we took a VA who was not really performing so much as a VA. And we just took her out of that task and said, okay, this is more just like data entry, right? Lead manager is kind of like data entry. You're you're just cross-referencing. You're calling up that seller and you're saying, hey, I just want to confirm it's a 3-bed, 2-bath. You are looking to sell. I think the price you were looking for was 200,000. Is this all correct? And like,
Yeah.
okay, so I have you scheduled for 2 o'clock tomorrow with Brandon, right? Like that's all they're really doing. It's not anyone can do that. Right?
Yeah.
So what I did with her is I said, I want you to now underwrite it and give me what you think the number is. And I'm not going to fire you if you're wrong.
Oh, okay.
To help her learn,
I
would
see.
make her do it. I would make her
Yeah.
put the ARV in there,
Yeah.
and then I would go in and change or reconfirm that ARV, and then I'd walk her through why I agree or disagree with her number.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maybe that's how we'll
I
do
wasn't
it.
relying on her number, but I made her
Yeah.
go through the process.
Yeah. Okay. Because yeah, I mean, we're trying to like this guy we hired because he has good sales skills, right? And doesn't have a terrible accent, and he's good on the phone. So we hired him to like start doing at least soft offers and to eventually move into an acquisitions role, maybe. So, but the underwriting part, but that's a good idea. Let him practice and then just double checking until he gets it down. So
Yeah.
Do
Because
you guys all primarily do cold callers for your lead gen? Is that basically what everyone that's doing volumes doing in this group?
we're doing 0 cold calling,
Okay. What's your marketing?
SMS.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Yeah,
We're
everyone's
doing-
different. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just what we do. And when we
Yeah.
were at scale, we're way smaller than we were 6 months ago. 6 months ago, we had 6 VAs. We were sending over 12,000 SMS per day.
Okay.
Now we have 1 VA, and we're
Okay.
probably only sending 500 to 1,000 a day.
Okay.
So just a very different spot in our business right now.
but a very niche
Well,
list too.
They're niche. Yeah, they're more niche lists. You can't be niche with volume.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The problem with
Yeah.
volume, you to
It's
just
hard to find
get
data.
volume, it's the opposite of niche, right? So you literally
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
That's like you try to find data and you're just like, well, here's some data with some phone numbers. Go call and go call.
Yeah, like literally the only list you can pull is high equity. That's
Yeah.
the only list big enough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you're trying to pull hundreds of thousands at a time. Like there's no other list.
Yeah.
You go high equity.
There's only so much data. Yeah.
I had a conversation. So we have a new sub 2 member who's actually in Birmingham, who I've known for years. He's a fix and flipper, Derek. I thought he'd be on here tonight, but he's not. So I went to look at a house with him today, and he was just asking me a bunch of questions. And the list conversation came up, and he's like, "Well, I don't understand. Like, how do you scale? Do you just scale by using a bigger list?" And I said, "No, well, that's not going to accomplish anything, obviously, right? To scale, your VA can still only hit however many they hit. If they're cold calling or SMS, whatever they're doing, there's a set number that they can do in a day, right? If it's 1,000 phone calls or 1,500 text messages, whatever it is, you can't scale without getting more bodies. So the only way to scale is get more VAs. So yeah, it's I personally just with it, because we tried it. My personal preference was always SMS and not cold calling. We just didn't have a lot of success with our VAs, that the ones that we had. We didn't have a lot of success with cold calling with them. We tried it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Like unless you use a dedicated service like Call Geeks, or you get lucky and you have a VA who happens to be very good at cold calling.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
We
Okay.
started direct mail too. And direct mail's, I mean, I think no one would argue that direct mail is one of the best options there are as far as like consistency. You got to stick with it for a little bit, but you need a decent budget to start to really get traction in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know I've talked to a few people lately, that's all they do. And they don't care to be massive. They just want to do a couple deals a month and they're fine with that. Just send their direct mail out and it's super easy, right? Just you send the right list direct mail, you just wait for those calls to come in. They're quick converting leads usually.
That's what I've been doing is direct mail, but it hasn't been super consistent. It's like a 2,500 driving for dollars list. So it's very targeted. Good properties, neighborhoods we want to buy in. Just not getting a ton of calls. And
Are
it's
you tracking? Are you tracking the ones that are return mail?
Yeah.
What are you doing with those?
Um, ideally.
Putting them in a pile next to your
dive,
computer.
dive deeper. Right now, they're just in a file, and I've found some of them. I'm trying to work through. There's like 100 in the backlog that I need to get through, and
Yeah.
find where they actually live. I'm good at skip tracing. It just takes a lot of time. I got like the clerk website, and I'm open corporates and all that. Forewarn is great for phone numbers, and I just haven't been focused on it. But
Okay.
that's probably the money list.
Yeah, it can be. Return mail, can be a good list.
Mhm. But we just shot a commercial, so we got the draft today. So I'm gonna make a couple tweaks to that, and then we'll be on TV. So we'll see how that goes. Track
Sweet.
that versus my direct mail.
Yeah, definitely track the KPIs on that. Yeah.
My biggest thing right now with those types of marketing channels like TV or radio, it's sort of like PPC where you can't control where it is, right?
Mhm.
In our business, like we don't want any leads in low income areas,
Yeah.
which is where we are right now. Like I'm not going on an appointment for a $20,000 house. I'm not going to enter those neighborhoods. I'm past that in my career. I've been in enough bad situations and survived them that I'm not going to do it anymore. So, for me, if that came across my desk, I'd most likely just throw it away.
Yeah.
So
We got two of the bigger buyers that I know here in Baton Rouge just said that they're actually going to start buying those for the first time. So that's their kind of pivot with the new market we're in right now. So I think I have buyers until they get sick of it, at least.
yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, it can be a demographic thing, right?
Mhm.
I don't fit in that neighborhood.
Yeah,
Maybe someone
yeah.
else does better, right? So,
I don't like it either.
yeah, it's not my business model. I spent enough time, I got enough deals to understand that, those low price point ghetto type of homes, everyone raises their hand because they all want to sell because they're all in terrible condition, right? And it's very easy to get those under contract and even get them under contract at a decent price. But those are the deals that always cause the biggest headaches. And
Mhm.
most of the time, those are the ones that don't end up closing for
Yeah,
a variety of
title
reasons.
issues.
They've got massive title problems. They've got
Mhm.
liens that are more expensive than the house itself, right? Like, so to me, I'm just like, it's no longer something I want to do.
Yeah.
Or the rehab is costs more than the ARV.
Yeah,
Yeah.
rehab 60 grand on a $45,000 house.
Yeah.
I know, I see this come across all the time by other wholesalers. I'm like, who's buying this shit?
Nobody is.
And you can't
Nobody.
comp them. You can't comp them either because nothing gets listed on the MLS.
Nothing. It's all on market. Yeah.
It's like yeah. I haven't done them in the last year, but with the TV, I might try again a little bit, or
Because you're
like
going to
just
get
pop
those
up to
calls
those
for
guys
sure.
for a referral fee or something, and see because I don't want to deal with it either. But
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is like
Figure what that
I was
looks
gonna say,
like.
my market doesn't really have anything like that, so I don't have to worry about it. I've been scared to go to like a Birmingham because there's so many pockets in Birmingham, and if you don't really know that market, like you don't know where you're marketing to
man,
or
we got like a zip code and a half. That's all that type of house.
Zip code and a half. We got
Yeah.
like 20 zip codes.
yeah, Birmingham's rough.
Go to like Houston.
Uh,
Houston as a whole city has like something like 250 zip codes. It's
yeah.
unbelievable. Like I've gotten the only reason I know this is because I got a list from hedge funds and it was like we buy in all these zip codes in each city, right? And it was
Mhm.
literally it was like pages of Houston zip codes. And they were all actually Houston. It wasn't even like suburbs. So
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like it was like 2 blocks was a zip code. It was nuts.
Yeah. Huh.
But yeah, you're 1,000% right, Brandon. There's so many, if you don't know Birmingham, like I get
Mhm.
calls all the time from people like virtual wholesalers. And they're like, why can't I do this in Birmingham? Because you don't realize that you are marketing to a zip code that literally has zero value. There's no value. The house, the street has 20 homes on it and 9 of them are burnt down.
Yeah.
I've never seen a city with more burnt houses than Birmingham.
But the funny thing is, in Birmingham, in 10 years, some of those zip codes will be some of the hottest areas in Birmingham.
35206 used to be, you
I
didn't want
know.
there. And now
Yeah.
it's how these little 3-2 houses are selling for $250,000. I don't know who's buying them.
Yeah. If you could ever predict where that next transition's happening.
Yeah. So the one area is Norwood. Norwood's been the most highly speculative neighborhood in all of Birmingham for years and years and years, and they finally got the approval. There was an abandoned hospital for years. I mean, this thing's been super abandoned, and it was just an eyesore in that area. And they finally got approval to tear it down and convert it into an amphitheater, a brand new amphitheater. So they're gonna
cool.
knock down like the whole entire hospital. And I think they're even gonna take like part of the neighborhood out and put in this beautiful new amphitheater. And it's like 2 blocks down from Top Golf, the brand new football stadium. There's like restaurants and stuff right there, but yet there is still a massive amount of crime.
Well, sounds like opportunity to me.
Yeah, exactly. People are trying to sell their totally dilapidated houses for like $200,000 in Norwood, and it's like, all right, this house needs 200 grand in rehab, and it's only going to be worth maybe 300 when we're done. Like I would buy a house in Norwood without even seeing. I'd buy any house in Norwood for 75,000. Yeah.
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 Interesting.
Can I jump in?
Yeah.
I'm brand new to Sub 2, so good evening. I ran. You guys were talking about who is buying these houses. I was wondering who buys these houses in one of the markets. So we're primarily looking at North Mississippi, but then also Memphis. It sounds like Birmingham is a lot like Memphis, where you can be on one street and the house is great, and you go 2 streets over and it's awful. It's just awful. And there's $1 million mansions in the middle of all of it. And the whole city just doesn't make any sense. So I just found out in Memphis, because I had called on this house that I was interested in, and they have revitalization. It's a not-for-profit revitalization group, and they like if the people on a specific street complain enough about a specific house, and there's all these hoops that they have to go through, but they can just kind of go acquire a house through whatever means they get it, and they rehab it and then try to resell it. So right now it sounds like this house that I'm looking at, that's what they did, is that they acquired it and trying to get some of their money back out of it, but they know that they're going to take a loss because now interest rates are so high. They just keep dropping the price down on it. It's actually in a really good part of Memphis. It was one of those really awful houses on a good street. And so I've been trying to find a way to communicate with these guys, and it sounds like one of their loans was through a private money lender and one was through a traditional loan or something. But I've never heard of this. I don't know exactly how they operate. Have you guys ever heard of not-for-profit revitalization organizations within a city?
There are a few in Birmingham, but I've never heard of them just taking a house that was people complained about. I'm not sure about that loophole, but what they do here in Birmingham is they just go and they buy them. They buy them and they get like, a bunch of volunteers to go do like Habitat for Humanity kind of thing.
Oh, okay.
Lindsay, why are you trying to reach out to them?
It's in a really great part of the street. It's in a great part of Memphis on a really good street next to I'm hoping to get it for an Airbnb.
Are you trying to like a sub two.
Yeah, I was hoping that they owned it free and clear because it was a not-for-profit. And when I first talked to the agent, he said, yeah, these guys are all cash buyers. So I assumed that it was gonna be a cash and I could offer them a sub two and, or, no. What I
Finance.
originally was looking at was an owner finance because I thought it was I thought they were all cash, but then I found out that they actually did have a loan. They have a loan of 260 that they need to pay off immediately. And then the rest of the loan, whatever 414 is minus 260, 155 or something like that, they're willing to do in a wrap loan for me. Maybe, but then they wanted like 30,000 down.
What about get in touch with My Investor Loan and get them to finance the rest?
They won't finance the rest. My investor loan will want to be in first position.
You know, I was listening to what is it, the TC Zoom the other day,
Mhm.
and he was Caleb was talking about something like that. I was with them on the call today, and they did tell me they wanted to be the only leaning to the property.
Yeah, so
But
the
and
way it
then
works,
Caleb had a way to do it, like where they wouldn't like open two escrows,
yeah,
where My Investor Loan wouldn't find out that the
Yeah.
seller is going after.
that scenario would work if they have to be in first position. My investor loan, so what Caleb was talking about is my investor loan will always need to be in first position. They don't want you to have a second position. What they don't want you to do is, well, sorry, what they do want, the reason they do that is they want you to have skin in the game, right? They say we're going to give you 75%. They want to make sure you're actually bringing 25% to the table, which is why they don't want a second position lender. They don't want you to get another loan for the 25,000. So what Caleb is talking about is actually having the seller finance you the 25%, but you get a private money lender to put it in at first. It's like you're shuffling money around. At closing, they hold the money for a couple days, and then they pay off your private money lender, and they let the seller finance portion take over. Just a lot of moving parts, but long story short, if you're going to get someone like My Investor Loan, they will only be in first position, which doesn't.
Yeah. So you don't tell them. So you don't tell them that you're gonna do all these
You do
money
not tell them.
movements.
You do not tell them that. No,
Okay.
no, and Pace has had My Investor Loan on Zooms, and the guy from My Investor Loan has flat said, like, listen, we know you do this, just don't tell us. Right? So like, we all know, just let's not talk about it.
Okay.
All right. But
I
yeah,
feel like-
remember that if this person already has a loan that is in first position, you're not going to be able to wipe out you're not gonna be able to put someone else you're not going to put My Investor Loan in second position.
Yeah. So that's when this agent, because see what I was thinking was because they were asking 420, 419 or 420, and then they dropped it to 414 because nobody's taking it. And so when I thought that they owned it free and clear, I was going to offer 420 at a 15-year mortgage at 2% interest. And then at the end of that, they should be making like a total of 490 if I got the right calculator, if I put everything in the calculator in the right, which I think is closer to what, because they already said they're losing money on it because they redid a lot of work and then they didn't like the way it looked, so they went in and redid a bunch of other stuff, is what the agent said.
What's this truly worth? Is it completely fixed up? Is it ready to go?
Yeah, it's nice. It looks nice.
Okay, so if they can't sell it at 420, it's not worth 420.
You would think so.
Right. So I'm just trying to figure out why. I mean, I guess the reason you like this deal is because you are saying that they're investors. You think you get it some sort of creative way.
If I can get it creatively on Airbnb, we've got one short-term rental, and the numbers that I projected for it have all panned out.
Does it work as a long-term rental?
It would work as a long-term rental. It's in a good place and it could still be a long-term, but for the monthly payment, no.
Okay, then it
Actually.
doesn't work. The reason I say that,
Okay.
the reason I say that is anytime you're looking at a property that you think is going to be an Airbnb, you have to underwrite it as a long-term rental. As best
Okay.
practice, you have to do that. If it does not work as a long-term rental, you're taking a massive risk buying it as a short-term rental.
Yeah.
Because if something happens and Memphis turns around and says that no more short-term rentals in all of Memphis, now
Yeah.
what do? Now you're going to lose money every month if you have to stick a renter in there.
Yeah. I understand.
So, I'm not saying that's going to happen in Memphis, but that's just best practice. That's what you should be doing. And if
Okay.
you're building your business out and you want to make sure you're protecting your business, that's how you should underwrite a property that you think you're going to use for an Airbnb.
Okay. That makes sense.
Lindsay, I know
Yep.
you say you're new, but if you want to learn about what we just spoke about, that's called the Morby method. If you want to go look it up on the vault.
Oh, okay. I'll look it up in the vault.
And then I agree with Jeremy. I have that short-term rental in Baton Rouge. I was like, nah, they're not gonna pass any laws. Well, they just passed new laws like a week ago,
Really?
where if you're not living in the property, I'm going to have to go in front of the city council or something like that, and I'm gonna have to go make a case for them to give me a permit. And thank goodness I already have that one, so it's technically gonna be grandfathered apparently. But for the next ones, I might have to go through much more hustle.
Yeah, I need to figure that out because we're like halfway through, not halfway through. We just started construction on one about a week ago. So that one we're trying to get into service before the end of the year. But I need to figure out those regulations because yeah, like you said, it just passed. So it'll work either way, especially first year. But yeah, we need to get that sorted.
Yeah, and there's going to be more and more of this happening. I mean, we see it. The writing's on the wall. We're going to get more and more. And I'd rather see it all just happen, right? Just get the legislation out there so we know what the rules of the game are, and then we can figure out how to play, right? So
I think it's great because it'll drive out all the people that don't want to mess with it. So I mean, if we're able to get the permit, I think we'll do really well.
Yeah.
We just got to get it.
will those permits, do they also apply to midterm rentals?
No, I don't think so. It's just short-term rentals.
Just short term. Okay.
Yeah, I've been hearing that a lot of if the rental is midterm, the short terms don't apply, and that's the other reason I kind of like this. It's right next to St. Jude Hospital.
Okay.
So I thought traveling nurses or parents of kids that have to, because that's a treatment hospital, so they're there for an extended period of time.
Yeah.
And so I was hoping to kind of try to build a relationship even with the hospital, go in there and talk to somebody and see if we're able to leave even a QR code with something where if parents needed to stay there close to their kids, they'd have a
You can
place.
talk to HR. You can talk
Yeah.
to HR or like case managers, social workers.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely do that.
Yeah. And the midterm model is slightly more appealing than the short term. It's less cleaning anyway.
It's also slightly less revenue, but you're
Right.
absolutely right. It's a lot less headache, and ultimately, it may end up being a much better model.
Yeah. Ours is close to LSU, so I mean, we would probably just, if we can't get the short-term permit, we'd probably just offer it as like furnished college apartment. But and it would work, but it wouldn't work as well.
Yeah. I mean, they can cash flow very well. They just get banged up.
Yeah, but it's only got
Oh,
2
yeah.
bedrooms,
You're
so
ready to get a good deposit there
Yeah. Yeah.
and get it co-signed by the parents.
oh yeah.
Parent guarantee on every room.
Hey,
Yeah.
I used to be that college student,
With the
Me
dog.
too. I was good on it on the house, but can't say the same for my roommates necessarily.
Yep.
or the party guests. Yeah, I'm
Um,
looking at the regulations right now. It says it's only for an occupancy less than 30 consecutive days.
Good.
Okay.
You know, a few months ago, well, I guess like for over a year now, there was like a little bit of a boom of everybody wanting to get into short-term rentals. I mean, like the past like 2 months or so, I've seen a lot of people and a bunch of podcasts about midterm rentals now.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
know if you guys noticed that.
Yep.
I noticed that at BPCon, there's a lot more chat about it, and then last year there was hardly any. Uh,
I think it's legislation driven.
Probably
There's
so.
so many cities where it just became banned, right? Short term became banned basically. So the only option is midterm.
Yeah. Well, let's hope
There
they don't go against that after that.
I mean, what's the downside if you're from a legislative standpoint or from a neighborhood nuisance standpoint, what's the downside to a short-term rental? You think they're party houses, right? People coming in, party houses constantly turning over. So you lose a lot of that stigma with a midterm rental. So
Mhm.
yeah, it changes over once a month, but it's a corporate type of a rental. So you have a professional in there. They're not I think most of them probably don't have any guests. Just, they're at work and they come home, they need a nice place to sleep. That's basically it, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
It was that, and it was driving all their properties prices higher, where people are not being able to afford because people buying for short-term rentals were bringing the comps up and
Yeah.
all the prices of the properties around up, and then people can't even afford housing. So who doesn't like that? The government.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is
But yeah, you're right
interesting.
with the party house.
The permit requirements are you got to get a permit, maximum occupancy 2 persons per bedroom plus two. So a 2 bedroom, I guess you can get 6 people total, and then 1 additional parking space for each bedroom used. So
That seems
that
reasonable.
what's that?
That seems reasonable.
Yeah. Well, we have a massive master. We were gonna put 2 queen beds in it. So we might adjust that now, but we'll see.
Or
Huh.
you can advertise something and do something else too.
What's that?
You can advertise something and do something else.
Yeah. Well, I'm a by the book guy.
Well, as long as you keep your property clean and you're not having parties, it's gonna be difficult for them to like mess with you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. What else are you guys seeing in your market? I was just checking out our market stats, and it looks like our months of supply didn't change between October and November. We're still at 2.5.
So the biggest thing right now is the whole market just changed today. So of course there's not your inventory has been light. There's been what I've been saying for a little while. There's been no people trying to compare this to 2008, 9. 8, 9 obviously was a very, very different situation. You got a ton of inventory causing the housing prices to drop dramatically. There's zero inventory pressure.
Yeah.
We have no inventory pressure. We're not going to get it, right? Why are we not going to get it? Because people aren't going to willingly sell their house, get out of a 3% mortgage to get into a 7% mortgage. Now, luckily, we're not in 7% territory anymore, right? We haven't been for a little while, and now we're back in the 5s. So, today was a fantastic day for mortgages, and tomorrow probably will be as well.
Oh,
So
I actually missed that.
yeah,
Oh,
well, hold on a second. I just almost did something.
we just got our
Much
rate
to-
2 days ago, 7.1. So
No, it hasn't been sevens for a while, but so yeah, they came out, Powell came out yesterday and said Fed is pivoting. They basically confirmed that the December rate hike is only going to be at 50 basis points instead of 75, which everyone kind of knew, but until the Fed confirmed it, there was still that like, whoa, what if they don't? They could keep going. So rates have held in the 6.6 range for a while, for like 3 weeks. They've been hanging in the 6.6 range. Today, they dropped a third of a point to 6.29 for the 30-year fixed. 30-year FHA is 5.75. Um, 30-year jumbo is 5.75 and 30-year VA is 5.8.
What site do you use again?
This is Mortgage News Daily.
Okay.
It is, yeah, just mortgagenewsdaily.com.
I think you
I
talked
have
about it
open
before,
my
but I
website.
forgot to favorite.
I haven't opened my computer every single day.
Yeah, I gotta favorite
so-
that.
Yeah,
You can buy down to like a low fours now, which is
Yeah.
great.
I know.
Great.
I know. So, the mortgage rates move off of the MBS, which is the mortgage-backed securities.
Mhm.
And the MBS has been, when we were at 7.2, basically was the height, I think, right around 7.2. It bottomed out at 94.5. And right now we've clawed our way back. Today we went for the first time in like a few months. We got back over 100 on
Yeah.
the year MBS.
Yeah.
And we should be, based on how much it's moved, I think we should be at somewhere in the probably 5.75 on a 30-year and maybe even 5.5 on the FHA and the other products. So this is going to be a game changer. I think what's going to happen is you're just going to see the market just keep going at this point now, right? People are just going to start acting like things are normal because, like Brandon just said, with a 2-to-1 buy down, you can get 3.75% interest rate, effective interest rate for year one, and
Mhm.
a 4.75 effective interest rate for year two. And then by that time, interest rates are going to be back down, most likely into the 3s or 4s. So you just refinance and you're good to go. So I think if we stay here, if we keep getting into the lower 5s, I think the housing market's just going to keep going.
As
And
far as
all the doomsday sayers, I've been saying for a little while, I think they're all completely wrong.
yeah, as far as refinancing goes, if you still have some conventionals, like we have 2 properties that we can refi. We're in 5.25. It's just switching from interest only to P&I, 20-year AM locked for 4 years. We're just gonna sit on them for now because it's still gonna cash flow. But the goal is to get them all on the 30-year fix. Probably hold off longer. I know you don't have a crystal ball, but is that what you're thinking? If you
Yeah,
were,
I think within 18 to 24 months, we're back. Fed's dropping rates. We're back in that probably in the 3s.
yeah,
I don't know that we go to 2.5 again, but I think we can see the high 3s.
yeah.
I was you were talking that everybody's wrong. Are you talking about like the mass media and all that?
Yeah. Yeah. All these people,
so-
I mean, I hate to say it, but even like Pace screaming to the world, like, hey, rates are going to 11. Like, no, they're not. If rates went to 11, there'd be blood in the streets. Like, that's
I
not
don't
going
think so either. Our system is so broken that they're just gonna have to go down and like keep printing money. Otherwise, they're screwed.
Yeah, 11%, the government goes bankrupt.
Well, I think there's already a few. I think there's already the Fed right now is negative in their balance sheet already, isn't it? I was like reading some stats and all that. But like for example, in Bigger Pockets, Travis, you were there. Like in one of the last keynotes, they had an economist talk, and she gave all her statistics of like she literally said like, stop listening to the mass media. We have a great market. Keep buying if you can. That's literally what she said. Stop listening to the mass media because fear sells, and that's what they're doing right now.
They
I mean,
expected
granted, there was
bigger.
some truth to it. Like, 7.25% interest, affordability is 0. Like you just can't buy houses at 7.25 interest rates, right? So it wasn't that there was any other downward pressure on the market. That was the downward pressure, and now rates aren't there anymore. They're now 1.5 points lower than they were just a month ago, or whatever.
And you see a lot of price drops already.
I'm not seeing them.
I-
I'm not.
Well, I'm in the Miami area, so I see like 50K drops, 75K
But
drops.
it's all relative. 50K on $1 million house that's like saying, okay, here in Birmingham, I'd see a $5,000 drop. Well, so what? It's irrelevant. It doesn't change your payment.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it depends on the market. They're all different
Yeah.
markets, right?
Yeah.
our median sale price actually is higher than it's been ever right now.
Mhm.
It's gone up the last 3 months. And average just spiked from 286 to 300, so
Yeah.
it's looking
Okay.
good for us.
Like Brandon, what do you think the chances are of prices dropping in Huntsville? That market's exploding, right? It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no. The ones that were agents were still pricing too high, they're getting drops, but
That's
just
just
because they
greed.
were being greedy.
If you were priced appropriately, you shouldn't be doing a price drop right now.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of which, what about your properties here? Are they up?
The the Madison property is listed.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And the Huntsville property is not listed yet. It's still being
Yeah.
worked on.
Are those flips?
Yeah, I didn't want them to be, but they are. Sometimes it works out that way.
Good thing about having multiple exit strategies.
Yeah, exactly. Although we're strongly looking into refining the Huntsville property and just holding it.
I would.
South Huntsville?
It's a great hold.
Yeah, that's
Me and David even talked about just buying it from you because we're like, this could be this would be a great property.
I know.
It's a great location. It's a great rental property. I mean,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, we may end up keeping that one. Just refine out our lender. Because we got a ridiculously high interest rate lender, private lender in that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm liking Huntsville more and more these days.
Yeah. I love all the surrounding markets of Huntsville.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your
Decatur.
favorite right now? Like Athens or
I prefer Decatur, Hartselle
Decatur?
right now.
Okay. A lot of, does it have a good Mexican population, Hispanic population, Decatur?
It does, yeah, and actually some of them prefer to be out there. Mhm.
So for wraps, it's fantastic.
Oh yeah, Decatur and Athens both, especially Athens, even like Limestone County in general.
Yeah.
You can. We haven't gotten one out there yet, but it's because we do niche data, and it's hard to get niche data in Limestone County. But
Mhm.
That's a great market for that.
Yeah.
Because you can get like those 150 to 175 ARVs where it really works well.
That's the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to stay between 150 and put 250s pushing it. 150 to 225 really is the sweet spot.
Yeah, because we just did one that was 225, and we have another one we're doing in Huntsville that's 225. We're like buying it, selling it, and refining it at the same time because it's like doesn't need anything, which is a great deal. But that payment, when you start getting to that 225 number, that payment just
unaffordable.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
especially with my refi rate, I'm refinancing and getting like, the one I just closed on the refi on was like 7.25, but now the rates came back down. Maybe I'll get 7.25 again. But she said this was like 3 weeks ago. She said I'd been around 8 if I would came to her.
Rates have moved a lot in 3 weeks.
Yeah, so maybe I get 7.25 again. But it's a 20-year AM, so or ARM, amortization. But so that made my payment higher. So I had to make sure their payment was high enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brandon, you wrap all yours, or are you do any long-term buy and hold?
Right now, like we always have intentions to do long-term buy and holds, and then it's like we're trying to like accelerate to a certain cash flow number as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And then once we hit that, we're like, okay, let's just hold as much as we can.
I got you.
We're just trying to buy freedom as fast as we can first, and then do what we want to do.
Makes sense.
And it's hard to get cash flow like in Huntsville right now because prices have gone up here.
And rents
and
have not
interest rates
followed.
and rents have not followed yet. I think they're coming.
Yeah.
So it's hard cash flow in certain zip codes right now. The good zip codes you want to hold in. So
Yeah.
but Decatur and Athens around there, I mean, those surrounding counties, those are good cash flow markets still. So,
Yeah, I think we gotta start marketing a little heavier up there.
yeah.
We haven't been doing a whole lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the South Huntsville one was direct to seller, and the Madison one that came to me from somebody else. That was a JV deal.
Mhm.
I got a rap question if anybody's interested.
We love rap questions.
So I've got my first on market lead. We sent the offer sub 2, and I'm wondering if we might need to buy it on a land contract. Just depending on how comfortable we want to get the seller with it. But I want to wrap the house. And so I'm like, in my head, I think I can buy it and sell it on a land contract as a wrap. But is that true? I've only been thinking about this since about 5 o'clock tonight when I talked to the agent, or talked to the seller actually.
If you get a land contract, you don't have the deed.
Right, but if I sell it on the contract, he's not going to have the deed either.
You'd be selling your contract on a land contract.
So we're saying this is super
That's not
creative?
a
Is
wrap.
that what we're
That's a
saying?
trap.
Or you'd assign it and finance your assignment fee.
You found a new niche.
Yeah.
Nice. All right.
That's a
Good. I'm
that's a
glad we got some
TRAP.
good.
Did we clear that up for you?
I think this is some good content, some good what not to do content.
Yeah.
Yeah. My only hang up is that he's like, I said, just talk to your mortgage lender. So I told him, I said, if you want to get you comfortable with, because they want to buy another house in like the next 6 to 12 months. And I said, well, we're going to have the loan servicing in place so that you can show that, you're not the one making the payments. And I said, you can even like confirm with your mortgage lender, like if you were renting the house, if somebody else is making the payment, how does that affect their debt to income calculation? But now I'm like, well, I don't know if I want him to talk to his mortgage lender, because his mortgage lender holds his current note, and it's also like sort of his mother-in-law. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm interested to hear what she says. So I'm just kind of thinking about what could happen. I don't know. Maybe I'll just wait and see.
Hmm.
Anytime they talk to the lender, it's never good.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that I may just do a lease purchase option and just rent it for a year, and then when we buy it in 12 months after they've already gotten their loan, then we can just take it over sub 2 and not have to worry about it. So
What are your
That's
goals?
how
for
I've done
property?
it.
What are
we
your
want to
goals?
wrap it. We're trying to wrap everything.
So the goal
got-
is not the wrap isn't the goal. The goal is you want cash flow. Is that the goal?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
good ROI if we leave a little bit of money into it, which
are
we'll
you
have on this
okay?
one.
Are you okay with not getting depreciation?
Yes.
Then why don't you just do
With-
why don't you just do a lease option and your option fee is the mortgage balance?
Yeah, that's
Your
what
option
we would
price, I
do.
mean, is the mortgage balance. It's the same thing you would do if you had to, if you get the due on sale called on you, right? You get the due
Right.
on sale called on you, deed it back to the owner, and then do a lease option, and the option price is just the mortgage balance. So when it gets paid down to
Right.
0, you execute your option at $0 and you get the deed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I can
You do
still
that. The lender is never going to be involved because the deed didn't transfer.
right.
You still have control of the property.
Hmm.
So you can't wrap it, but you can then do a sandwich lease option.
Yep.
Sandwich lease option.
It's like
Lease
just same thing
option
as
to
a wrap.
someone
You're
else.
just- you're just giving someone else a lease option.
Gotcha. And then their payment, the difference in their rent can be the same price as what they're going to buy from me, or I can set it at like a $200 or $400 markup or whatever the number makes sense. Interesting.
Or I mean, or do you at that point do you even need them to be a lease option tenant? Do you want to just have them be a regular renter and get cash flow?
Yeah. Well, my only thing with renting is that I don't want to manage. We have a property manager do everything. And if you pay management, the number throws off our target metrics.
Yeah, okay.
So
Yeah, then a sandwich lease option probably is the best answer on that.
gotcha.
It's a great strategy when you think the lender is going to be snooping around. If you think the lender is
Yeah.
going to be a problem, then just get out in front of it and just do just do the lease option and control the property and have your option fee, your option price be the balance of the mortgage.
Yeah.
No defined time on you have it for your option length is 30 years, right? You have it until the mortgage is paid off.
Nice.
So is it a bad thing whenever they are reaching out to their attorneys?
Why would they be calling their attorneys? I'm just
Because
clarifying.
I reached out today, and the agent said that somebody had offered the guy a subject to, and that he asked his lawyer, and the lawyer advised to not do it. Like this was like weeks ago, and I asked him like, let me ask you this: did the paperwork had a performance clause? And then she's like, what is that? So I told him like how we protect them, and then she asked me to send the paperwork so that she can give it to the owner, and the owner is gonna show it to their attorney. So
Okay.
that was kind of like, we can do that, right? We can share the documents for that reason, right?
For an attorney, yes. But here's the thing. You want, if possible, you'd like to have a conversation with that attorney.
Yeah.
Because there's a 99% chance that attorney has absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And what's an attorney's default going to be when they don't know the answer? It's always going to be no.
Oh, well, they're risk averse. They're gonna say no.
It's always no, right? Yeah. So you need to have that conversation, or you need to find what attorney you use and say, hey, listen, can I pay you to have a conversation with another attorney? And then now your attorney who does this on a regular basis is going to call your other attorney and shoot down any objections he has. Because he's like, no, I do this all the time. Here's how we do it. Here is how you're protected. Here's the documents that I will draft up. Make sure that your client is protected. And chances are, if the other attorney's involved, it's going to end up getting killed anyway. But that's probably your best chance of appeasing that attorney, is getting another attorney involved.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to drop $300 for a maybe.
Yeah. I mean,
Especially now that I'm self-employed.
my experience, once someone's random attorney gets involved, the deal's dead.
Okay.
More often than not, the deal's going to be dead when some random attorney gets involved, because they're probably not a real estate attorney. They're probably just some random, my uncle's an attorney. He's a trip and fall lawyer. He doesn't know anything about real estate law. So yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Good luck.
So you could have the rent. So on the lease option, my lease option exit, I could have the rent. Basically their option fee would be their down payment, and the option price is the sale price, and their payment to me would be the amortizing payment. And then basically however much it has reduced the principal would be what they would execute
No,
the contract.
Your side of it or your wrap buyer?
My end buyer.
No, your end buyer, they're going to have a defined price. They're going to have a defined option price. You're not. They are. They're going to have a defined option price of, say, $200,000. Right? We're just making up a number. I don't have any idea how much your deal is. You're the one that's going to have your option price be the balance of the mortgage.
Yeah.
That doesn't pass through to your end buyer.
Yeah.
Why do you want to give them the benefit of the pay down? You want that benefit of the pay down.
Yeah, I'm thinking through. So basically how long would I lease option it before I could just take it sub 2 in 12 or 24 months, I guess, right?
If you want to.
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking of because I don't want to be a landlord. That's what I'm thinking. I don't want to own the property. I don't want to be the owner. I just want the cash flow without having to worry about ownership stuff. Does lease option, because I'm still technically just the landlord in that scenario, right?
Yes.
I don't want to be the landlord. That's what I'm after
You're
here.
a glorified landlord, because in your paperwork you're going to say that they're responsible for all repairs basically, but when it comes down to it, yes, you're still a landlord.
Yeah. So I want to be able to convert them out of the lease option into an actual note, as soon as possible. So it sounds like what I need to do is do a lease option and just say, you can't convert this until I convert mine to until I actually buy mine, either on a.
It's like a lease. You don't have an option.
Right.
I don't, I don't think that's
A lease option with no option.
Which makes you a landlord again.
Yeah. And we're back to square one again. Yeah.
No, I totally get what you're trying to do. And I think it's a good idea. And I think it's a conversation you should have with your end buyer. Right? If you think you're going to have the ability to convert from a lease option over to actually taking it sub 2 once the banker is out of the way and they've already qualified for the new mortgage.
Yeah.
Then with the wrap buyer, I would have that conversation and say, hey, listen, like my situation with this property is going to potentially change in a year or two. When it does, I would like to convert you from a lease option buyer to an actual buyer. Now, why are they a lease option buyer right now? They're a lease option buyer because they can't walk into a bank and get a loan. They would love to be the buyer, but they can't be the buyer because they can't qualify.
Right.
So if you then in 2 years say, hey, guess what, Mr. Glorified Renter, sign this paperwork right here and you're now the new owner of this house.
Yeah.
They're probably going to say yes. But what I would do for your own sake, I would probably have the conversation up front and say, listen, there's a chance that I may have the opportunity for you to buy this house in a year or two. And if I get that opportunity, it'll only require a minimal extra down payment for you to actually become the owner for this, rather than going to a bank and having to put up 20%.
Yeah.
Remember, your option fee is only going to be probably 5%.
Yeah.
Where you want your wrap buyer to put down like 10% or more. So you're going to go to him in a year or two when you have that document and say, hey, I'm going to convert you to a buyer. Now you're going to get another 5% down from him.
Yeah.
He had his first 5%. Right.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but just a way for you to get extra cash.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I just
I'm
did one
thinking
like
too. Go ahead,
I
Brandon.
just did one like Jeremy was just saying, where I did that in the lease option. The option says, well, it says that you either have the option to go get a bank loan, or you have the option at the end of 3 years to bring additional down payment and buy it on seller financing. Because they didn't have the full cash to put down. So that's how I did it.
Yeah. Nice.
Because in theory, you could just convert them to a buyer and no skin off your back. It actually makes your job easier. But why not?
Yeah.
I mean, to them, it gives them more pride of ownership because they had to actually put more money down. They didn't just become an owner for free, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what are we're all trying to generate a little bit of income and get some cash flow, right? So why not get an extra $5,000?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. We just solved the world's problems.
That's interesting. We solved 2 or 3 problems, 2 or 3 bad ideas into a good idea. Sweet. Well, I'll let you know how it works out, and it'll be my first sandwich lease option, and it'll be my first lease option with no option. So that would be worth the Facebook post.
You gotta make a video on that one.
Yeah, we'll cut and splice this video right here and make something out of it.
The optionless lease option.
And that's why I think, well, if it's almost like if I really wanted to incentivize, if somebody really wanted to own it, I could say, I could let the lease payment amortize their option price. Like the option price is here minus the whatever it's paid, whatever it's amortized at the point of sale. But I guess at that point you lose your opportunity to maybe ask for more down payment later, which would be nice to get paid and then get paid and then get paid again. So cool. I'll let you know.
You're overthinking it.
Usually do. Hey, I've got another one. I'm actually letting somebody else go, but I've got a property that we're trying to sell for $350. And we've got we're just over budget, and we had it under contract, and then past the inspection period, and the buyer backed out. And it's at $350, and we need to sell it at like $340 to make something off of it. We have like $315 in it, I think. And it's just not, we bought it too high and it took way too long to get it done. But anyways, so I'm thinking about if I could try to double wrap it, if I can find somebody who's interested in doing a 10% down payment, a $35,000 down payment to get a nice 2,100 square foot, basically a brand new house, new roof, HVAC, new inside, everything. If I could get 30% down and hold a 10% note, I could basically get out of it without losing any money. Even if I put an 80% note, 80% first lien, and then sold it to pay off the hard money lender, and then just kept the rest. I think in 2 years I would make enough interest to like start coming. I'd be in the black.
You want
versus
me to burst your bubble now, or you want me to wait till you're done?
Well, wait till I'm done. I got one more thing to say. And versus having to do something like a $15,000 or $20,000 price drop and maybe losing 10 or 15 on the front end is the potential alternative, and we'll see what happens.
Gotcha. Okay. I like your logic, but unfortunately, there's a couple things wrong with the scenario. First thing is, you're trying to do a double note on a $350,000 house, which is a very high price point for a double wrap.
Okay.
Arguably impossible price point for a double wrap. You are going to expecting to get 10% down on a $350,000 house. Maybe you can, but
Yeah.
experience would tell me you're going to have a hard time finding that.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is you need a pretty good spread on a $350,000 house to make the double note strategy work, which you don't have because you're trying to sell it for basically your full price. So
Right.
Yeah,
basically
this
we would
does
be
not work at all.
Well, we wouldn't be trying to do it and not have any money in it. We would do it knowing that we're leaving
You're
money
leaving
into
money
it
in. Okay,
to the tune of like 35 to 50,000.
that makes a lot
But
more sense. Okay,
But it's like we've actually provided like just a genuine $50,000 second position note, or it would be a $35,000 10% second note.
yep. Okay, so
And
that
so it's like-
makes more sense now. But
Yeah,
I still feel that, as Brandon mentioned earlier, when you get to the $350,000 price point and you try and stick a 9.75% interest rate on that payment becomes incredibly unaffordable.
Yeah, it's like 24, 25 is what the total cash flow comes out to, somewhere in there. Isn't that right?
27. Well, I just did it, but I did 10% interest, but 350 with 10% down. So 315 at 30 years, 2764 payment.
Plus
So
that-
with taxes and insurance, you're at 3,000 a month pretty much.
Yeah, and that house would only rent for 22, 23.
So
Yeah.
that's why it becomes incredibly difficult to do. Like we were saying earlier, the sweet spot on wraps in general, and especially double wraps, the sweet spot is 150 to like 225, maybe 250 max.
Yeah.
Now you can wrap a house at that price point if you bought a house subject to with the low interest rate, and you can sell in a wrap at like 7.5%, 8%.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're
Can't
getting
sell it
down
at
to-
9.75.
Exactly.
Right.
And
And
no
houses-
investor is not going to buy a note that's at 7.5%, 8%.
They're only wanting to buy at 9.5, basically.
If you try and sell a
Yeah.
7% note, you probably have to discount it at least 50, maybe 60%.
Yeah. Because they could go out and loan that money right now for more than that easily, right? With
Yeah,
one
that's
safe
true.
investment.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
And I mean, we learned these lessons the hard way by just thinking we had great deals and realizing that, holy crap, this doesn't work at all.
Yeah.
It seems like at first, like, yeah, let's just wrap it. Let's just do this. The strategy's amazing. And then you actually run the numbers and you realize, well, shit, I'm $900 higher than rent.
Yeah.
Who's going to pay that?
Yeah.
No
one.
No one.
Yeah. And I've seen increased rentals available in that neighborhood too. It's like the biggest neighborhood down here, but 3,000 homeowners, but still that's a lot of. So
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that answers that question for sure.
Yep. Yeah, just anytime you're looking at wraps, keep that window nice and tight.
Yeah.
150 to 250.
So
Nice.
with wraps, you guys basically, I haven't gotten to that section yet. I'm just starting the dispo strategies section of the paste method or whatever the main course is. So it basically needs to be sub 2 or seller finance for you guys to do wraps. Like
No,
you can,
no, not at all. You can absolutely buy a house cash, or with, private money or whatever. It just depends on, there's a lot of moving parts, right? So what we're seeing right now when trying to do wraps is when we're buying houses, we're getting private money for the entry fee. Right. So if you're going, say you're getting $30,000, $40,000 in it to stop the auction and maybe clean something up, stick a wrap buyer in there. If you're doing a straight wrap, how are you paying your private money lender back if they don't want to be involved in the deal for more than 6 months?
yeah.
Which is what we have been facing. So many lenders they're cool with just like a 6-month window. They don't want to stay in a long term. Right. So Brandon, worked through that a bunch of times, figured out a way around it. But like, that's one problem. The other problem, like if you go sub 2, it's fantastic. You can absolutely wrap sub 2. You just got to make sure you have a spread. There's got to be enough. If you're doing a single wrap, it doesn't have to, but a double wrap has to have a double note wrap has to have a substantial spread right now.
So what's a double wrap?
So double note, and we're probably going deeper on this than we should right now, but that's fine. So double note is not a pace strategy. It's an Eric Sage and Nick Ligamaro strategy. They're sub 2 students. They go to mastermind every mastermind, and they teach a strategy. Brandon and I have both gone through their stuff. It's a cool strategy. As we're learning it more, we realize it's more of a niche strategy than we thought it was. But basically what you do is you buy a house. I'm going to use numbers that I know work, right?
Yeah.
You're going to buy a house with an ARV of 150, and you're going to get it for no more than 90,000. Rather than wrap it for 150 with one note, one mortgage for 150, which is the complete normal thing to do, right? You just make a mortgage for 150.
Yeah.
Make 2 mortgages. The first mortgage there's a calculation to this, and I don't have it in front of me right now, so I'm just going to make things up. The first mortgage, all you do is you make it large enough to be able to sell the first and pay off your $90,000 that you bought the house for. So you might have to make the first, let's call it 120. Right? So you would sell that $120,000 note at 9.75% interest. You sell that for 80% of face value, and that will pay off your underlying 90,000. My number might be completely off, but like that's the concept. So now
then you have a 30-second.
You have no underlying debt, right? Because you've paid off your lender. The 90,000 is paid off completely. The note buyer now owns that. And you've got a $30,000 second at 9.75 just sitting in your pocket. You have no responsibilities to that whatsoever. You're just collecting a paycheck. You're not tied to the house anymore. You don't have to worry about that. You literally so the object of this game is just like, we say we just want to stack seconds. Just keep collecting seconds. And then have usually on average somewhere between like $200 and $500 a month cash flow on those seconds.
That's awesome.
It's like having a rental home, right? Like the average rental cash flow is like $200 a month, right? So note, you have no tenants, you have no maintenance, you have no vacancies, you have no anything. You just have a note that pays you every single month. So that's why we like that strategy so much. But it's definitely got a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah, that's cool. You just got to get a pretty steep discount for.
You do right now. When I was first introduced to that strategy was exactly a year ago, mastermind, a year ago. And rates were good. The market was in a different place. And Nick was up there writing on the whiteboard at Mastermind, and it was like, holy crap, you can literally buy a house on the MLS and do this. Like,
Yeah.
you were able to sell it for like 90 to 95% of face value of your note. I'm like, you almost need no discount.
Yeah.
And now, like, things change when rates went up to 7 or so. They lowered their the face value amount that they would sell it for, and now it's at 80%. And it's just like, whew, you have to create such a spread to make this thing work now.
Mhm.
But when it works, it's sweet.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, when rates come back down, we'll
when
circle
rates come
back to
down,
that.
hopefully it starts going back up to like 85 or 90, and yeah, we can start making some of these things work.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
How
So
long was the course? How long was their course that they do?
It's just modules.
Gotcha.
Just depends on how fast you go through it.
Hmm.
But they changed their whole entire setup. I think they changed their price as well. But
Whose course is this?
it's Nick Legamaro and Eric Sage. They
So-
are
Creative Dealmaker Academy.
There
if
you go, I
just
couldn't think
search
of it.
that. Yeah.
Creative Deal Maker.
I want to look it up.
Facebook group's free and you can get in there, and I think the underwriting tool, the spreadsheet, at least when I've gotten the Facebook group, that was free. The tool was like the actual analyzer was free. It was
Okay.
just all the content on how to put a deal together that you paid for.
Yeah, I know. Have you been on recently, Brendan? Because I know they just changed. And I don't
Yeah.
they said they were going to restrict what they gave the free group now.
Oh,
So
I've been getting those emails about Creative Dealmaker Academy 2.0, but I haven't set it up yet or anything. So-
yeah, I kind of started setting it up a little bit, but I haven't gone through anything. It's just the same. It's the same exact academy.
Yeah.
But like, I think that it's different calls now. It's not open to the general public anymore.
I see.
They have two calls. It's like the private call and then the main call.
Yeah, I see.
So is this something like completely different than the Space Morphe community mentorship?
It's not in any way tied to sub 2.
So would it be like there's value to trying to sign up to that one?
I thought so.
Okay, I just don't want to like buy something and be a repeat, you know?
No, it's definitely not a repeat. It's
Okay.
definitely not repeat. But if you're not looking to do wraps, then you're not going to get any value there. We just saw a ton of value in the strategy. And my thought was, if I could learn how to sell one note at, a couple percent higher, it was going to more than pay for the $1,000 or $2,000 that it cost for the course. It's not a very expensive course, right? Or you learn one strategy that helps you wrap a house, a month quicker than you would have otherwise. Well, there's a mortgage payment. Is it worth saving a mortgage payment, right? So if you're in that side of things and you are interested in doing wraps, whether it's single or double, then I think they're worth it. I'm not trying to pitch them. I don't get crap for talking about their stuff.
Yeah.
I just like the strategy.
Even if you
So
don't
interesting.
use the model, you learn a lot about like actual note creation strategy, what note investors are thinking, getting in their minds about that stuff that you don't really get. I haven't got seen anywhere else. So even though I'm not using their strategy right now, I still took a lot away from it. So
Yeah.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Well-
As far as your guys' wraps go, what's your standard kind of? I know you said like 150 to 225 is the sweet spot for ARV. What's your sweet spot for like interest rates and
9.75.
975? You do
Always
that?
has been.
Yeah.
I've been doing 9.75 for years.
Okay.
I just reverse engineer mine off of the rent basically, but I'm not trying to sell a note right now either. So that's why.
Okay. So Jeremy, do you sell most of yours? Is that what you? No. Okay.
No, I've tried to sell several of my notes and not been happy with the price that I got back on
Okay.
that. This was a while back. I will sell the notes going forward though. You know,
Mhm.
notes that are created specifically to be sold. And that's the
Yeah.
thing with what their program is. They teach you how to create a note to be sold.
To them.
Yeah, really to them, which is great. It's a built-in buyer.
It's a genius model. It's a funnel. For them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
It's great
awesome.
for us, and that's fantastic for them. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Interesting. And then Brandon, you say you reverse engineer yours so you try to hit basically equal to rent or slightly higher to rent. What's your
Yeah, I usually try to get around $100 over rent with taxes and insurance.
okay.
But I say that, but that's also like within the city. I don't focus in that neighborhood because some of them will be like in that neighborhood, the rents might not be that high, but within the same general part of the city it is. So
Mhm.
I know people will be willing to move into that neighborhood and pay the same rent they were paying if they're owning that house, right? That's the way I've had success that way so far.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Because I've had like one of my buyers now just told me, he's like, hey, my brother wants a house now too. We own the business together. He has cash, and he was like, he doesn't care what part of Huntsville, he just wants to own a house. So in Huntsville.
Okay.
Selling
Cool.
mine, selling my house.
Oh yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, we want to get more into this, but right now we're doing all of our stuff either with shorter term private money or just bank financing with private money to cover the shortfall. So we haven't been able to do any of these strategies really, but
What do you mean by short-term private money? What defines short?
6 to 8 months.
Okay, so this strategy is perfect for that as long as you can execute.
The double.
Yeah. As
Yeah.
long as you can execute, right? So, you know, if you buy it intentionally, you expect to wrap it, you should be shopping that house before you even close, right? You should have, in theory, potentially buyers lined up before you even close on it. Then within a month or two, you should be able to, if everything's lined up, you should be able to sell that note, and cash out your lender. And no
Yeah.
reason why you wouldn't be able to do that within 6 months,
Yeah.
as long as you bought the house correctly.
I can't find a house with that steep of a discount that is rent ready.
It doesn't have to be.
No.
No. Does not have to be. It has to be habitable,
Yeah.
you know, but we like to say grandma's house. It's dated. It
Mhm.
needs a full cosmetic update, but it's got good bones. It's clean. It might have green Berber carpet and an oven that hasn't worked in 30 years, but
Mhm.
a wrap buyer will pay very close to full market value for that house. You're probably going to discount it about what I think Nick and Eric say that they discount about a third of what the rehab cost is. So if it's a $30,000 rehab, they'll give a $10,000 discount off of full market value.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I have one of our rentals is exactly that, but we bought it like 2 years ago. But and it's long term on a conventional now, but that would have ARV's like 146 from our appraisal, and we got it for 68, I think.
Oh, that'd be a home run in this strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a fantastic one.
Yeah. It's home run as a long-term rental too, but we got paid when we burned it, which was good, and it's still cash flows. But yeah, these strategies are interesting. There's
so
so
much
You could also sell on seller financing and refinance into long-term debt, as long as you don't transfer the deed.
Wait, what?
I've never done that.
That's how I'm doing mine. I mean, that's how I've done two. We're doing another one now that
When
way.
you refinance, you have to refinance it as a rental property, right?
Yeah, well, they'll refinance with my land contract. I give the bank my land contract, and that they count that as the income, and they're refinancing it.
That's weird. What bank?
Can you
What bank does
say
it?
that again?
So I'm doing a burr. It's just I don't have a renter. I've got a seller. I've got basically I'm kind of calling a slow flip or a tenant buyer. It's a tenant buyer, kind of, right? But they're buying it on amortization, seller financing terms, but with a land contract. So title doesn't transfer, and and so the
Okay.
bank, they're protected. They as far as they can, they're still in first position as far as the title goes, and so they'll refinance. They refinanced me. They're fine with it. Now you can't just go to any bank and do that. Like you can go to Bank of America. You're gonna have to go to local banks, credit unions, build relationships with them,
Mhm.
and find the right banks. Like I called a few banks, so I found one, and they're like, "Yeah, we can do that." And so,
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Because at first I'm like, why? Who? Most banks won't do that.
yeah, but there are a lot of local banks. You'd be surprised, because the way they see a land contract, they see it as a rental agreement, right? So,
That
um,
I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk. Did you just come up with that, or did you hear it somewhere? Because I don't think I've ever heard anyone talk about that.
no, I just asked a bank one day. They were like, "Yeah, we can do that." I was like, "Okay." And then I talked to some other people. And then I talked after I did it, and I talked to some other people in my market because I noticed they were selling stuff on seller financing. They were buying cash, and asked what they were doing, and they're actually buying them with a loan up front. Some of them, not even with cash, and they're buying it at loan LTV, not loan to cost. They just have to put like a little bit down to have a little skin in the game, and then they're selling it on a wrap through a land contract. But I'm just doing it as a spur, and because there's other thing, a local bank, and if it has to be like a commercial loan, because I'm not doing any seasoning, I'm doing instantly refi. I'm buying it and then submitting my refi application the next day, basically.
Wow. So I guess you can. Oh man, there's so many options with this.
Yeah.
You
Need to learn more about land contracts.
I guess in theory you can go to your buyer because I'm thinking like immediately I'm thinking like, oh, well, but what about my South Huntsville house? But like, so it's a little more expensive.
Yep.
So a wrap buyer is going to want the deed, right? But what if
Yep.
you went to that wrap buyer and you said, hey, listen, this is what I have to do, right? I've got to make this work. We're going to have to do this on a land contract. And then after I refinance and get my private money lenders paid, converted out, then I will get you the deed. Can we do that or can we not do that? Because
No, you make it an option contract that they sign separately. You could do a lease option that way. Why not have them sign a lease agreement with an option contract to buy it on seller financing after you close on your refi?
so the lease option would be what you take to the bank.
Yeah. Well, but you don't take the option to the bank. You just
Well,
take the
right.
lease.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can lease to the bank.
Yeah.
Interesting. I need your banker's phone number.
Yeah, I'll give you the number. Great. So I just talked to another local bank the other day, and she was like, yeah, I think we can, because they'll do up to a 25 year amortization. This other one was only doing 20.
Okay.
And it's a 3 or 5 year adjustable rate too. So I have to consider that, but I have a spread to where it's
It is
fine.
adjustable. Okay.
It is.
You
But
should be fine on that. You should be fine.
Exactly.
In 3 to 5 years, rates should be fine.
yeah, well, I built my interest rate spread where I can have one rate adjustment and I still cash flow. If I have two, then I'll be slightly negative, but that's just, not by much. And hopefully they've executed the option. I mean, they've refinanced by then.
Yeah.
Or I'll refi, like you said. So.
That's super cool. I've literally never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's super. I mean, you think about, you just go buy any house at like 75% of as is value. You don't even, the bank will appraise it and cash it out. And actually, the other beautiful thing is they'll give me 85%. They'll give me up to 85% on my cash out. But I was like, my cash flow went to like well, that's what it was. My cash flow went to the point where after the first rate adjustment, I'd be negative, and I didn't want that to happen. So I said, no, let's just leave the equity in there and do it that way.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how this plays out over a few years. If you look
Yeah.
back and you liked it, or you look back and you're like, well, that wasn't really worth the risk, and wasn't great.
Hope not, because we're planning to do 2 a month.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like it a
Because
lot.
we make like 10 to 15,000 up front still.
Yes.
Because between the down payment, we're getting almost all our cash back out because we're refining, right? And then we get the down payment. And so after some closing costs and stuff, the one we're walking on both
Are
so
you
far
buying these with cash, or are you buying these with lenders?
cash.
Okay.
Well, private lenders, but
Right,
cash.
that's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Private lenders or your own cash? Private lenders, right?
Private lenders, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna have to rewatch this recording.
And that answers the question of why I record them.
Yeah.
Man,
Um,
that's cool.
Yeah, now I can't, I gotta rethink all my properties right now and everything I'm going to.
Yeah, man.
So when you do that, they're going to do property inspection and stuff, right?
Do what?
When you go through one of these refis, they're treating it as a regular refi, so they're going out and they're inspecting the property and doing.
The appraiser is kind of yeah.
Okay.
Not like a detailed inspection, but he's going inside the house, looking around and stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But that was super easy and smooth, and it even came back as, I told her it'll at least appraise for 200. The appraisal came back at like 212. So
Yeah, that's awesome. I've got to do this. I like it a lot. All right, then refi through you're using a credit union, or is it
Yeah.
just a local bank?
well, that's just a bank. But I've talked to other people who have done this now too, and they said credit unions will also do it.
Okay, cool.
All right, so backing up your steps, buy cash, a little bit of a pretty decent discount, then refinance basically immediately, but also sell it on a land contract.
Yeah.
You're not
Okay.
refinancing
really,
until you sold it on land contract.
If after you've already sold it on.
Yeah, because then you have the contract to show rent.
It's a performing
Yeah.
rental, yeah.
Yeah.
If you already have income shown like in a tax return, you don't really need that necessarily, right? But if you don't, you need that income to qualify, then
Yeah.
it'll help. But I mean, really, it doesn't even really, now think about it, the bank, you don't have to find a bank that allows that, as long as your buyer is okay with waiting 3 months until you, or however long until you refi. You just did a lease option and their option contract is a seller finance purchase that's executed after your refi.
Yeah.
So even,
It's interesting once you like start stacking these strategies.
yeah,
Really cool.
when you realize how creative you can be on things,
Yeah.
things are
You just have to be able to explain what it is that you're trying to do to whoever buys it.
yeah.
Love it. All right. I was gonna go into a story of what happened to me this week, and I'm not sure if I want to at this point. Do you guys want to hear a story at 9:30 or? Yes? All right.
Look at it.
All ears.
All right. So
I'm listening.
yeah, this week sucked. So we have a property in Talladega that we are buying, stopping at auction, but taking it over sub to, almost nothing to the seller, like $1,000 to the seller. And, there's moving parts to it. There's, an ex-wife who's not on the deed or the mortgage. There's the husband who's on the deed, but not the mortgage. And there's the mom who's on the deed and the mortgage. So we had to coordinate 3 parties get this all taken care of. We get everything situated. We're ready to go. We get, up to the week of closing, which was supposed to be Friday. Because the auction was actually scheduled for the 29th, which was 29th was Tuesday, right? So closing can't happen on Friday. There's we're trying to clear up some liens that were on the property. Turns out it wasn't theirs, but we get that all taken care of. Get documents signed. Some of the documents signed on Friday, it wasn't completed, so we had to get everything signed on Monday, and we're going to close on Monday. I went in Monday afternoon to sign. Private money lender set to fund on Monday, and Monday morning comes and goes, Monday afternoon comes and goes, and lender hasn't sent the money. He's like, I went to the bank. The bank told me I don't need to come to the bank to do this. Go home and do it on the computer. So I went home and did it on the computer, and everything's good. I just finished sending it. 6:30 on Monday night. I've now signed all the documents. I've gone through closing. Sellers have signed all the documents. The auction is tomorrow, right? Auction's on Tuesday. 6:30, he sends me a text and says, I got an error message on the wire. It didn't go through, and my lawyer called me and told me I can't fund this transaction. Now we've got an auction in basically 17 hours, right? So nothing I can do. It's 6:30 at night. I'm actually at friend's house with family. Like I can't, I'm preoccupied. I can't deal with it at that point. And it's 6:30 at night. What am I gonna do anyway? Right. So basically my Monday night was ruined. I'm not sleeping Monday night, trying to figure out what to do with this thing. Email and call my lawyer in the morning, get nothing, no answers, no responses to email, no answer to call. He calls me back, finally calls me at like 10 o'clock or 10:30. He's like, hey, I'm sorry, I was in court. I just got your message. Yeah, I emailed him, said like, hey, what are our options at this point? Like, we are day of auction. What are options? And he's like, honestly, you don't really have any. You can try and call Rocket Mortgage and see if they'll take your payment, pay it outside of escrow. But that may not be enough. Right. So we call Rocket Mortgage, and of course, we're not an authorized party, right? So we can't call Rocket Mortgage. So we have to get the seller to call Rocket Mortgage with us on the phone and give us authority to talk on their behalf. Well, we call Rocket Mortgage with the seller, and Rocket Mortgage proceeds to tell us, sorry, what's his name? Eric is not authorized to give you that authorization. Only his mom, Linda, is authorized to give you authority to talk about the account. So we're trying to get a hold of Linda. No answer, no answer, no answer. Turns out Linda was in the cardiologist, little old Linda, 80-year-old lady in the cardiologist trying not to die. And we're trying to stop her foreclosure, which we told her we're going to stop for her. Don't worry, trust us, everything's gonna be great. So my partner Dave finishes talking to the bank. They're back and forth like 20 different times, and they accept the payment. We pay the $8,000 in arrears escrow, and they say, okay, we got your payment. Call us back in 45 minutes and we'll confirm whether or not this house already sold at auction. So he calls back in 45 minutes and they're like, we don't know. Turns out it was cleared for auction at 10:30 this morning. Literally nothing we could have done to stop it after that. So all we can do is wait. Turns out if it doesn't sell at auction, they will let you reinstate the loan. It didn't sell miraculously. So they accepted our $8,000. They told us they're going to reinstate the loan. It is now Thursday at 9:40, and we do not have confirmation of reinstatement still. They accepted our money. It did not sell at auction. We believe we are buying the house. But until they give me confirmation, we don't have the house yet. So
So what happens? What happens if they sell it? Do you lose your $8,000?
they didn't sell it. It did
No, I
not.
know, but if they would have sold it, would you lose your $8,000?
No, we would get it back.
Okay.
Yeah,
You'd have pissed off sellers that you're trying to help though.
exactly. We'd have very, very pissed off sellers if it sold at auction. So
So who's at fault?
we are.
Like because of the private money lender?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, whose fault was it? It was my lender's fault, but ultimately it's our fault.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've read that extreme ownership, haven't you?
Yeah. I mean, I I'm the one that met the seller at the house and promised her like, hey, this is gonna be fine. We're gonna take care of this for you.
Yeah.
Right. And sure enough, everything was good. We had everything lined up. Everything was perfect. The lender said we're good to go. Everything was set. And then 12 hours after the money should have been in the account, the lender says, sorry, I can't do this.
Why did his lawyer say he couldn't do it?
There's some reasons, but
Yeah.
it was BS reasons.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad I didn't text you on Monday.
I wouldn't have answered you, so it didn't matter. We literally took both Dave and I the entire day putting out this fire, and
Jeez.
it was not a fun day. It was bad. So
You guys always have your private money sent through escrow?
yes,
Yeah.
unless we get a lender who wants to give us money long term.
Yeah.
But anything deal specific always goes through escrow.
Okay. No, we deal mostly with our friends and family, so we just usually have them send it to our business account like 4 days before closing, just to make sure there aren't any issues with accounts getting flagged for fraud and all that stuff. Which
Why don't you just have them? Why don't you just have them wire it to escrow 4 days ahead of time?
It's a good point.
And as best practice, you really don't
Yeah.
want those funds going into your account.
Yeah.
Would that be considered like commingling?
It's not really commingling, because commingling would mean that, I mean, yes, commingling could be your funds too, but I think you run the risk of commingling more if you're using multiple people and putting their funds in the same account and using their funds whenever you want. But
Mhm.
yeah, Trav, I think you should put that money straight in escrow, or
Okay.
have a separate. Are you having it put in a separate account, like an account that you have to use for nothing else, or are you putting it into your regular account?
I'm putting it into our regular business account for our flipping and wholesaling business.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Okay. So then you take draws from escrow when you need your rehab money.
No. So, all right, now I see what you're saying. So, here's how we do it for that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
That entire thing gets put into escrow. Let's just say you're borrowing 50,000. Your entire 50 goes into escrow. The attorney cuts you a check at closing. Now you have a note that was created in escrow. The entire thing went there. Everything's accounted for. And now how you spend that money is up to you.
Okay.
All accounted for in escrow when you close the property,
Okay.
right? There's no risk.
Yeah.
What happens if you, not saying this would ever happen, but what happens if your friends gave you $200,000 of their money and 4 days before closing, and 2 days before closing, you got some massive lawsuit and all your assets are frozen?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right? Not saying that's likely to happen, but what if it does?
That's a
Mhm.
great point. That's a great point.
So yeah, just everything should go to escrow. It's just easier that way.
Mhm.
Or put it in, if you're gonna do like where you want it to come to you, because it's like maybe it's longer term or something like that, open a separate LLC that has a separate bank account, and it just sits in that one. It's not tied to your flipping business.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like we have 2 LLCs just for lenders.
Okay. And then, so my hesitation with creating more LLCs is because then my accountant will charge me a lot more for taxes. So, do you guys?
Put it through escrow.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, also just as information, like you know how Pace likes to refer to what is it, Prime Corporate Services?
mhm,
They have their tax side of things where I actually paid for it because I was not happy with my current CPA. And they made me pay, like, I think I was able to negotiate down where I paid them $2,800, just like literally like a down payment. And starting January next year, I think I'm going to pay $184 every month, and includes my personal tax returns and any of my LLCs. Doesn't matter if I have 200 LLCs,
Yeah.
they'll do it with no extra cost, and I can call them anytime to ask questions.
You just pay the state filing fees. Yeah.
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 okay, so that's good. They're good for the CPA side of things.
I mean, I just pay for it. I really can't tell you they're
Yeah.
great because I haven't really worked with them yet, but they're gonna be in charge of all that. So maybe I'll have an answer for you in like a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay,
I like Prime as a company, but yeah, again, I haven't used them for taxes either, so I can't talk about that
Yeah.
side. Just from a structure and entity setup standpoint, I like them a lot.
do you guys have local CPAs that you work with, or are you with national real estate specific ones, or how do you guys do it?
Going forward, we will probably use Prime.
Okay,
That's how it's for our business. That's where we're gonna go. You know, I've always done my own stuff, which I probably shouldn't. Now I can't anymore. I can't
Yeah.
anymore. But I probably shouldn't have for the last couple of years. But yeah, now it's too complicated for me to do it myself.
yeah. What
Just
about you,
Travis,
Brandon?
the TurboTax, man, they're pretty good.
Yeah,
I've done it, but I mean, it gets complicated pretty fast with real estate.
I know that's the problem.
Yeah. When I started getting involved with crypto, that's when I had to move on to a CPA.
Yeah, I mean, I got crypto, I got real estate, and my real estate's in partnerships, and I got an S corp, and there's just a lot.
You mean a CPA for sure.
There's no button for that in TurboTax.
I got a solo 401k too, so it's like there's a lot of weird stuff that they don't have buttons for.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting though.
All right. Anybody else have anything that they want to talk about before we?
Where do you put these Zooms, like when you record them?
On my computer. They actually, so they land in my computer, and then I will put them on YouTube. They're not published in YouTube. They're just in you. That's where I house them in YouTube. So anybody that wants them, I would give you the link to the record.
I just wanted to hear. I was busy here whenever you guys were talking about that. I don't know if it was like a double.
Brandon's fancy strategy.
Yeah. I heard that it used to be possible with the low interest rates, but now it's not. But I would like to know about it in case the interest
The
rates
double
go
note. The double
right.
note. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wanted to
You
review that.
you must have not been around for Brandon's fancy strategy if you still thought the double note was
Oh
fancy.
yeah. The sandwich, whatever.
No,
I went with that strategy because it seems simpler than the double note.
It's just fancy 'cause I never heard of it.
Yeah.
Huh, cool.
It's awesome.
All right, Evan, I just requested you on Instagram, Buy Houses BR. So approve me so I can see your stuff.
Sounds good. I don't have any stuff really for you to see, unfortunately, but
Well.
you can see my family. You can see me, so you can't see any real estate related.
Bunch of pictures of a new baby.
I gotta step up my game, but I'm like, I still feel like I need to do a few more things and learn a few more things before I start sharing. So there's probably fault in that logic, but that's kind of where I'm at. When you're about to potentially lose money on a flip, you don't want to be like, here's how to flip, or here's how not
Here's
to
how to
flip.
not flip.
Yeah, I would say your logic is definitely sound logic, but it's wrong. Okay,
It
so
makes sense, but you shouldn't follow it.
exactly, yeah. But you need to own it. So
Yeah.
go into it saying like, hey, listen, like don't go into it trying to act like you are a 30-year seasoned flipper. Be vulnerable. Hey, listen, I screwed this up. Here's how I screwed this up. Hey, look, this is the first time we ever made 100 grand on a flip. Hey, look, this is the whatever it is, right? Like, don't just be you and document what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're still providing value. You're
Mhm.
giving them experience for what not to do.
Because who's
Yeah.
your audience? The person that's one step behind you is your audience,
Mm.
right? You're
He's
not
preaching now,
competing-
guys.
You're not competing with HGTV, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
true.
hard. I mean, when you start on social, I didn't touch social forever. I refused to do any social for a long time until Pace called me out. Literally on a Zoom with 20 people, Pace calls me out on it. And
Yeah.
I had to get into it. And it's just I'll be honest, it sucks at first. It's terrible. It's
Yeah.
super awkward. You think you do suck. So you feel like you suck and you do suck. You have to keep going, like embrace the suck, right? Just keep going, just keep on documenting be as consistent as you can.
Yeah.
It becomes a consistency thing.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately, it's also a time suck.
Yeah.
It takes a long time to make, edit, and post content. A long time. Yeah.
So who
Yeah.
here dances on TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok account. I do
You know-
Instagram and YouTube.
You know who talks a lot? Gary Vee talks a lot about the TikTok, that even though it looks like kind of childish or whatever, but he had such a massive
It has the
reach.
greatest reach. Yeah, it has the but what are you looking for? You're not looking for reach, right? You're looking for ways to actually monetize it. And you monetize it a couple ways. You monetize it by having enough people know that you're in real estate and that you invest. And that's how you sort of gain credibility. And you also monetize it by having it be evergreen. The only one that's evergreen is YouTube.
Yeah.
YouTube is a search engine, right? So I've started shifting over to YouTube recently and focusing my energy on YouTube because that's the only, you can literally have someone type in a search for house flipping, for wholesaling, for a specific strategy, and there's a chance my video pops up. That's not happening on Instagram. That's not going to happen on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my video I put on YouTube, people will see it in 5 years, in 10 years. Like it will always be there and it will always gain traction.
Yeah. Yeah. I go to,
What-
like me personally, I go to YouTube to learn. I want to learn something. I go to YouTube.
Yeah.
I just want to like be entertained or like be intrigued. That's kind of what Instagram is for me.
So
Yeah.
going back to like what Jeremy you just said, I actually have my best friend. He does like a YouTube channel like full time, and he shares a lot with me. And like one of the things is like you're like putting like a topic like, hey, how to make a fix and flip, right? That's a timeless content. But like if you're gonna talk, let's say about the interest rate hike of October 2022, that's not gonna pop up maybe in 5
No.
years because they also have an algorithm on that.
But that will help build your credibility. It helps gain that's the immediate gratification, right? That's where you get more followers on your page. People realize, oh, Eduardo is tied into real estate investing. I should follow him, right? So there's two sides to it.
Yeah.
Because I still talk about when something happens in interest rates, I'll talk about it. But I know it's
There's
one and done. It's over. Like no one cares what happened in interest rates 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Has anybody here read that book, The Best Ever Syndication Book?
No.
I started it, I didn't finish it, but one of the things that he says is like build social media and start making predictions because that's how you build your credibility. As long as you get them right.
Wrong all the time.
Well, just
Yeah,
delete them.
exactly.
Get 'em
As long
wrong.
as you're right.
That's what the crypto people do. They'll tweet both ways, and then whatever one's wrong, they'll delete.
Yeah, exactly. See, go back and look. I was preaching this for years.
Yeah.
I know. True. True.
Well, we're all gonna be influencers in 6 months then.
You don't need to be an influencer. You know,
We need to go liking each other's videos and sharing.
yeah. So you know what? You want a little tiny secret about social? It's not about liking and sharing the videos. you got to comment on them.
Comment,
Commenting is way more powerful than liking and sharing.
engagement.
Commenting is engagement. That's what that feeds the algorithm. You don't need to be an influencer, but you need to have people knowing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? What is an influencer doing? An influencer is using social media to actually make an income, literally get a paycheck from Instagram,
Yeah.
right? Or get sponsorship from someone. That's what an influencer does. We're not trying to do that. We're just trying to get the word out that we are investors, we have credibility. And why in my world, why do I want to do that? Because I want to get private money lenders.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate goal.
Mm.
I want enough people to see and trust that that I am in real estate and I'm trustworthy in real estate, that they're comfortable lending $50, $100, $500,000 to me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you.
Number one
used-
holdup in this business is getting enough private capital.
Putting yourself out there, and then you'll get that family, friends wanting to invest with you. I know this because I used to hate when people would post like their new BMWs, their new watches. I was like, man, why are these people bragging so much? And then I heard Gary Vee. He said, you have to do those things because then people know you're doing real estate. You buy a new car, you buy a new watch, something what you're doing is working. And then people are going to be attracted to that. They're going to want to invest with you. And I literally started doing that, and it actually works. It's weird.
Yeah.
Before I felt like I was bragging, like
Yeah.
I was not being humble, but it's just like people are attracted to, I guess, money and success. I really can't call myself successful yet, but I'm doing fair enough,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, my old 2013 Mazda 3 isn't gonna impress anyone.
Can you like rent the car and just be in front of it without even talking about the car? Just make people think that it's your car.
That's what most of them
There
do.
you go.
Yeah.
Go find a Ferrari dealership and just find one random car and go lean on it.
Yeah.
Oh god.
All right, guys. I'm
All
gonna
right.
go. It's almost 10 o'clock. But yeah, this is another good call. Appreciate you guys.
Appreciate it as always, guys. You guys
Hey,
are
thanks everyone. It was fun.
few steps ahead of me.
Yes.
Right.
Hey, that
Coach
means you're
Jeremy.
in the right room.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. We'll see you
Right.
guys next week.
Thanks,
All right,
guys.
y'all have a
See
good
you.
one.
Bye.
Bye.